right. Well, listen, it's Major General Retired Bryan Watson, and welcome you to tonight's Engineer Rally Point. We've got Sergeant Major Dirck is going to talk about everything that's going on in the Enlisted Professional Development Office, particularly geared towards NCOs and where we're making some changes, some policy changes. And I'm just super excited that we're dedicating this rally point to what we're doing as an Army and as a regiment to develop not what I know everybody thinks of NCOs as the backbone of the Army. I think they're much, much more than that. I think they are the DNA of the Army. And sometimes your DNA, you got to cultivate it. And so I'm happy that we're going to have this discussion. I know we've got the Regimental Command Sergeant Major and my Commandant are on the road, so I'll just in case we lose them, my Commandant, you got a good comm check and any opening comments, sir?
Hey, sir, thank you. I just want to thank you and your team for facilitating, being committed to this dialogue and giving us the opportunity to work through different topics as a regiment. I'm going to turn over to Command Sergeant Major Palmer here in a second. Before I just want to echo your comments on the importance of our NCO Corps and even beyond the backbone. Just today, we had a lot of general officers standing on a hill overwatching a robotic, semi-autonomous combined arms breach at Fort Hood, Texas. And they had a little bit of trouble with one of the MICLICs, and there's only one person in that formation, lots of people on the hill, that immediately recognized what was going on and why there were some challenges, and that was the NCO, right? Particularly the one sitting next to me with so many reps and sets, out there getting his boots dirty at the NTC, leading our soldiers, really important. And then the opportunity to have the regimental provide feedback to the DCG of 3 Corps this afternoon. Frankly, that no one else in there could have provided that level of expertise and feedback. Just so important, and what makes our regiment so great and our Army so great. So with that opening, looking forward to the topic tonight. Regimental, over to you.
Hey, sir, teammate, thanks for allowing us to be a part of this tonight. And Sergeant Major Dirck, if we lose connection, hey, thanks for really getting after this and doing this brief tonight. For the entire team that's out there listening in, and really what we want to get after this is we need to ensure that our NCOs know the professional development and what they need to do to get promoted. And the other part that I've been hitting hard lately is getting the officers also to understand, they're part of professional development on the NCO side. It's not just that the senior rater bullets. However, that is probably the one thing that everybody sees. I tell a lot of people I sat on a Army promotion board about 1.5 years ago. I saw roughly about 3,000 files. And when I say I looked at 4 to 5 NCOs for all 3,000 files, one thing I promise you, I read every single senior rater comment for all of those packets and all those NCOs. So it's crucial that we know what 600-25 states, but it's also just as crucial that our, not just our NCOs, but our officers understand what 600-25 states, so we can ensure we're promoting the best NCOs to move forward in the regiment. So that's what I got, sir. I'll turn it back over to you.
All right, Regimental, thanks very much. So, Sergeant Major Dirck, are you ready to show us the slides and talk us through it?
I am, sir. Absolutely.
Okay. Fire away, my friend.
Okay. Just want to make sure that you can see my screen.
Not yet, sir. Oh, there we go.
Okay. All right. So I'm Sergeant Major Dirck. I'm the Chief Career Management NCO at the Army Engineer School here at Fort Leonard Wood. I'm the former 130th Engineer Brigade Sergeant Major, and previous to that, I was the 15th Engineer Battalion Sergeant Major. I have just short of 27 years of service. Again, I work in the Engineer Personnel Development Office, or the EPDO. And what we do here is we manage the development, the distribution, and the structure of our engineer forces. And the easiest way to explain what we do is we manage the engineer spaces, not the faces. The faces would be HRC. We do the spaces. That's from assigning SIs, ASIs to a certain position, defining what the educational requirements are of a certain position. And most importantly, and what you guys are all here for, is to discuss the engineer policy developed around our promotions. And basically the evaluation board supplement to the board members before they go sit in their board and they start deliberating and look over your records. But before I can do that, I got to show you where you can find these products. And that's why you're seeing the G1 website up on your screen right now. And really all you have to do is Google the Army G1 website, and this will pop up. It'll be the first link. You would go to the G1 Resources tab. You would float down past DA PAM 600-3, which is the Officer Professional Development and Career Management, until you get down to 600-25, which is the Engineer Enlisted. You hit the drop-down menu. You'll see DA PAM 600-25. That's posted here. The updated version is in staffing, and it should be out at the end of November at the latest, furlough dependent. And then this is also where you will find what we're going to discuss today, which is the board brief and the NCO evaluation board supplement. So that's one spot you can find it, but I'd be remiss if I didn't show you probably the more important place to find it. And that is on the Engineer Training Library on the team site. If you were to search it up, u.s.army engineer training library. Once you get in here, you go to files, and then you can float past down a whole bunch of resources that will help non-commissioned officers inform themselves and train their personnel on engineer-specific equipment, munitions. There's calculation tools. There's things in here to allow you to be better non-commissioned officers and more informed. But I also have a folder in here, the Engineer Personnel Development Office. If you would click on that, you would go to the 600-25 evaluation board guidance. And then it's right here under fiscal year 26. And then I'm still building this out to provide the board AARs and the analyses. I'm teaming up with HRC to get these posted so that all the non-commissioned officers can come here and see this data. That's enough of that. And now we'll get to the actual presentation itself.
Hey, sorry, Major Dirck, I just want to stop you there because
Yes, sir.
I'm not sure, and I'm speaking specifically to the sergeant majors out there. I don't think our NCOs know just how transparent our board and our promotion and our selection processes are. And, you know, Sergeant Major Dirck just pointed out, you can get the AARs, you can get the results, you can get the board guidance. And so this ought to become part of our, of our inherent, our integral professional development, pulling that stuff up. Yes, it's a pull system. It doesn't get, but it's out there. And so, Sergeant Major Dirck, I'm really happy that you pointed out how they can get a hold of it, because it's a gift that we have, that we are as transparent as an organization as we are.
Yes, sir. I appreciate that. And that's really what I wanted to show them, so this goes beyond just this meeting and the group of people in here, so that you guys can take this with you and train your formations and your non-commissioned officers. And then you're also welcome to reach out to me. For some of the units that were in the field, I offered to do or host an NCO PD for them as well. So I will always make myself available to brief this stuff. Okay. So this slide deck in 2023 was 35 slides. when I got here in 2024, I knocked it down to about 28, and then now it is 14. So we have slimmed this down to be something that the board members can actually digest. It's slimmed down and brief and as direct and to the point as we can get it. Beginning of 2025 in January, all the proponent sergeant majors came together under TRADOC, now T2COM, and we actually discussed what you probably saw. Sorry, the slide did not move with effect. What you guys are seeing on social media. So this slide right here, which you probably at this point have all seen because I saw it the last couple days in advance of this brief. This is what the Army board guidance is for all CMFs, not just 12 series, not just 11 series, all of us. So we all got together and we deliberated on what it looks like to be most qualified and highly qualified and qualified for for all non-commissioned officers. And I'm going to start with key development positions. I'd ask to allow me to get through some of this before we start asking questions, because I want to make sure I get through the content and then save time at the end for the discussions. I want to highlight right off the bat under key development of positions, you're going to see this word successfully. And when I get to the engineer slides, you're going to see that again. That word is deliberate, because just because you serve the prescribed amount of time doesn't mean that you successfully served that time. Meaning, hey, so if you didn't do well, then you may have to do it again before somebody sees you as most qualified or highly qualified. And you're not going to notice under most qualified and highly qualified, there is a range. It's 30 to 36 months. It used to be 24. However, we extended it to be equivalent with all of our KD positions. And it's a range for a reason. It's because Sergeant Major Plummer can attest to it. When we first got here, it used to just say 24 months. But the problem with that is we had our NCOs, they would come up once they get to 24 months and they saw that as the finish line. And that's not what it is. And so we went with a range as opposed to saying, hey, it's at 24 months, because we don't need the squad leader, the platoon sergeant to go to the battalion sergeant major and say, hey, I hit 24 months. What do you need me to do? Well, I need you to be a squad leader, or I need you to serve as a platoon sergeant. And when I see that opportunity to broaden and continue to develop you, I'll get there when it's appropriate in your timeline. So that's why it's a range. And it's with high enumeration. That word enumeration is there for a reason. Just because you have a percentage next to your name, it doesn't mean a whole lot unless it says 1% top best. Otherwise, you want to be enumerated against your peers. That's what makes you most qualified and highly qualified. There's a note there for board members to make sure they consider that non-commissioned officers may be currently in their KD time and will meet that threshold of 30 to 36 months, whatever it is, by the time those board results are posted. And so that can play into their OML numbers and their evaluations. With that, I'll move on to military and civilian education. And I'm going to hit up on distinguished honor graduate and commandant's list under most qualified and highly qualified. Something that goes beyond your your NCOERs is your performance in NCOES and your ability to demonstrate that you've done well or understand your job. And so that's why it's very important that you do well while you're in NCOES, because that will live beyond those last 5 NCOERs in your record. It's something that's enduring, and you should be striving to at least earn commandant's lists, if not distinguished honor graduate or the distinguished leadership award winner. You're going to see there that Lean Six Sigma black belt is on there. And then below in highly qualified, you'll see green belt and yellow belt. So when we gather again this next January, and just like I did previous to this, I will make an effort to make that a much more broad category. Credentialing that is relevant to one's MOS is what I think is appropriate there, as opposed to having just one singular credential being mentioned, because it would be more appropriate for engineers to have a PMP or a certified safety or something else that is related to what we do is more important than just that one Lean Six Sigma credential. And then I'm also going to roll down to under the note, where although it says most qualified completed college degree, it is bachelor's or master's. It says college is a favorable indicator to set service members apart from their peers, but it is not a promotion criteria or promotion requirement. And that is there for a reason. Certain CMFs, you would hear them say that you can't get promoted unless you actually have a college degree. When a bunch of non-commissioned officers get together, we kind of came together and we're like, it's more important that you understand and can do your job in a combat environment as opposed to just having a college degree. Bottom line, it's your performance and those ratings on your NCOER that will set you apart from your peers. And that is the most important criteria, regardless of anything that we're talking about here tonight. Under physical fitness, and so you're going to notice here the AFT. We did make this last minute change as a change we were preparing to publish. The AFT score 450 or above with a score 90 in each event, and highly qualified 400 or above with 80 in each event. And what you're going to note is below, it doesn't matter if it's the general standard or the combat standard, those are the same. So again, 450 and above, 90 in each event, not much different than the APFT or the ACFT. What I will, and some of you have probably already caught, is the AFT combat standard. There are some errors in there. I think somebody copy and pasted poorly. So the 12 alpha you'll see there. Currently, sergeants major are not held to the combat standard. That may change in the future. But what really will show that this is done poorly is the 180 alpha. That's a warrant officer MOS mixed in there. This is supposed to just be enlisted, and that'll be addressed when we come back together in January. Other considerations, the Army 10 miler, Iron NCO competitions, your best squad competitions, master fitness trainer is there. But probably the most important piece of this category, physical fitness, is at the bottom in the note. So how did the service member achieve, develop their subordinates in physical fitness and overall readiness of their formation? So team, squad, section, platoon, detachment, company, doesn't matter. How did you develop your soldiers? Because it's one thing for the leader to be to score a 500 in the AFT, but how did they improve their subordinates and their physical fitness, and how did they lead and continue to develop their platoons and sections to continue to achieve higher standards on their AFT and their physical fitness and readiness. For assignments, so again, this isn't exactly relevant to all of us as engineers. We don't have very many joint NATO assignments as enlisted soldiers. You'll notice the instructor small group, OCTs, the drill sergeant, you're going to see in our slides. That is the only broadening assignment that is also considered KD, or key development time. And the bottom line is, and Sergeant Major Palmer will tell you, that we have based our slides based off of you leading formations and leading soldiers. And that's what is most critical in your key development time and your leader development. And then you'll see recruiter and talent manager. talent manager. I don't want to insult anybody's intelligence. Also in there, you'll see serving one up from your grade plate. That's in essence, if you're a staff sergeant serving as a platoon sergeant or sergeant first class serving as a first sergeant, that what that means and helps distinguish you from your peers. And then the other indicators, most qualified and highly qualified, expert soldier badge is up there at the top, and it's up there for a reason. And you'll see it on our slides when you see Sapper Leader Course. That is what the Army values, the expert soldier badge and the E3B, and you being a professional and master of the basics. And that is why that is there. You'll see the master instructor badge and gold badge. I understand that these are extremely difficult to get. Most recruiters can't earn a gold badge in 3 years, and most instructors can't earn the master badge in 3 years. But that's why it's considered most qualified criteria. You'll see highly qualified. That's where the senior instructor badge and the silver badge are. Below that, you'll see there are Audie Murphy and Morales Club boards, Instructor of the Year, Brigade NCO of the Year, Drill Sergeant, the Best of series. I'll point out the Professional Military Writing peer-reviewed articles is there, more in line with the Heritage Project, and your Military Outstanding Volunteer Service medals. And before I move on from this slide right here, I'll be happy to take some questions before I get to the individual MOSs.
So sorry, we got a couple. Some of these are relatively self-serving, but
Hey, Sergeant Major Dirck, Rugged 7 here. How you doing? You read me?
Rugged 7, go ahead.
Sergeant Major Dirck, you talked about the NCOES and Commandant's List, Distinguished Honor Grad. Right now here at Fort Hood, there was a Distinguished Honor Grad 2 cycles ago. With the current AFT, they cannot count it until January 1st, but the soldier failed the AFT, but was the Distinguished Honor Grad. Is that happening in ALC and SLC? Over.
So I wouldn't know that Sergeant Major Palmer may know it, just because I don't have oversight over NCOES, Sergeant Major.
And I can speak a little, Sergeant Major Malik. So that did happen. I don't know if they were honor grad. We did have a person that engineer that could not take the PT test for whatever reason, got injured. It was actually got injured during the PT test and finished the whole course, and then still got a 1059, did not meet standards. And which, I'll say I know we're Sergeant Major Dirck knows a little bit. I think we tried to word it a little bit different because the person did complete the course, but that person, by regulation, through the when you look at the 1059, should have not been honor grad. Still, because that should have been a counseling that should have came with that. Even though it's not can't be used in the Army, it still should have been a counseling statement to go with failing a test, if that makes sense.
Roger, Sergeant Major. That's not how it was briefed to me. It was briefed, and this is from the Commandant, because I spoke with the Commandant here at Fort Hood. If that is the case, I mean that's an issue right now. Because we're talking total soldier concept here, total leader concept. And, if we have soldiers going in, failing AFTs during this period until January 1st, that's a no-go in my lane. Over.
Yeah.
Sergeant Dirck, go ahead.
Yeah, I really want to make sure we're directing this towards the Army board guidance and personal development, and we can get in that debate in another place in time.
Oh, I just asked if it was happening at the ALC, SLC level. I think Sergeant Major Palmer cleared it up just now.
Hey, Sergeant Major Delira. You got me?
Yeah, I can hear you over.
Hey, Sergeant Major Delira, I'm over with First Army. I got a question on your key developmental time. I got sergeant first classes and staff sergeants getting promoted while they're out here. So when they're getting back to the force, they're really not. We're trying to curtail as fast as we can, but we're not getting them out there in a really good time. So when you talk about considering KD positions under the note there, are we looking at them coming off of a broadening assignment as well?
So you're going to see it when we get to the next set of slides and how we define, but you know, as a prelogue to that, your KD time comes first. And so, and I don't know where you're at right now, Sergeant Major. However, if you're coming off of a broadening assignment, it's best that you go into your operational assignment and for that KD in order so you can complete that key developmental time. You know, whether you get assigned as an instructor or recruiter, you know, unfortunately, we can't solve those issues. But I'm going to give some advice on how you can prevent that from happening when you get promoted, in order to be able to make sure you stay for your KD time when I get to it. I hope that answers your question. If you need more, feel free to ask.
That's good for now. I'll look at what we got.
Okay. General Watson, sir, you had a comment?
No, let's, we'll continue on.
Yes, sir.
Sergeant Major Travis, 27th Engineers.
Hey, what's going on, Sergeant Major?
A question regarding the assignments. At the bottom, it says operational, serving one level up from your grade plate. I guess a clarification, does that mean, for example, a staff sergeant serving as a platoon sergeant, it's good if they have completed all of their squad leader time, but this does not count for KD for sergeant first class, correct?
Yeah, so we're clarifying that, and the intent is, the bottom line, if you are a staff sergeant serving as a platoon sergeant, that meant that you were selected, and that you were probably the best person for that job. And so this new edit that's going up with 600-25, the actual PAM itself, it states that you will get KD credit for both, not just one, because let me put it in terms of this. A platoon leader comes to your formation, they serve for 12 months. They go on one rotation and they're gone, right? A platoon sergeant could be there for 3 rotations or 2 rotations. And they could be serving as a staff sergeant before they get promoted to sergeant first class. But he could have been serving as that platoon sergeant for 2 years. And so is it right that we hold that person back who's been doing a good job, demonstrated by their performance, from earning their KD time? And now I got a person who serves as a platoon sergeant for 4 years or 6 years, just because they had to pin it to be awarded the KD credit. And so that's wrong. So bottom line is, we defined it in the regulation so that HRC was clear when they briefed the board members and they talked to them about this, what counts as KD time.
Okay, so short follow-up then. Would you recommend, just sticking with the squad leader to platoon sergeant issue, would you recommend rating them as a squad leader and then on the back mentioning selected as a platoon sergeant, or rating them in the position they're serving in? Over.
Yeah, so that's the caveat, right? They must be given credit on their NCOER as a platoon sergeant. So if they're a staff sergeant and they've been selected, yep, I put that on the NCOER. But then once their next NCOER comes around, they should be getting rated as a platoon sergeant.
Knowledge, thank you.
Hey, Sergeant Major Dirck, I tended to follow with the maybe it's just me, but we needed to say it on the front side of that NCOR that they're in that 40 level position, not just the bullet, but it needs to be on the front side of that NCOR. So,
Yep.
Correct?
Yes, what you said is correct.
Thank you.
The DA PAM specifies that it must be captured on the NCOR.
Hey, sorry, Major Dirck, let's go down to the MOS specific.
Yes, sir. I was reading your mind. Okay, so this is where there's not supposed to be any redundant information from the slide above to this slide. And so for each MOS, we capture what is KD for them specifically. The time frame is still there, yes, but what the position is will change based on what the MOS is. So 12 Bravo, you're going to see squad leader or drill sergeant. And then you're going to see this word followed by a successful broadening assignment. I'm not saying, and no one is saying, and the power is jumping in here, so if we get cut off, no one is saying that followed by is required to get promoted, but it is the ideal model. So bottom line, if you're a sergeant and you get promoted to staff sergeant, you're placed in a squad leader position, I would urge you to do the IPSA action and stabilize yourself. Fence yourself so you can't move. And the following would be true for a sergeant first class in a platoon sergeant spot or a master sergeant in a first sergeant spot. Fence yourself to protect yourself from, entering the enlisted manning cycle and getting DA selected for drill sergeant or recruiter or instructor, something that prevents you from serving in that KD position. So again, followed by is there for a reason. It's to drive your behavior. You get promoted and you're in a place where you can get squad leader time, fence yourself so you don't get moved. Highly qualified, 24 months, same positions. And then you're going to see these notes below, right? Successful and what it's defined by. Again, high or low enumeration, however you want to see it, MQ and HQ. And then you're going to see drill sergeant and senior drill sergeant will count as your KD requirement. And then the NCO's priority should be successful completion of key development. So I don't know how many times we can put it on the slide and somebody goes, well, I went, instructor broadening to recruiting broadening. I would say you probably preferenced in the enlisting manning cycle poorly. When you go to training, and you'll see this for every MOS. And so under MQ, Staff Sergeant, Sergeant First Class, it says Sapper Leader Course. And it doesn't matter if you're a 12 Bravo, if you're a 12 Charlie, a 12 Hotel, a 12 November, a 12 Yankee, a 12 Mike. Doesn't matter. So that is the pinnacle of our engineer non-commissioned officer training. And here's what I'll tell you. If you're one of the MOSs that aren't allowed to go to Sapper Leader Course, submit the waiver. And if you don't get it based off of your MOS, not your qualifications, but your MOS, shoot me an email and I'll pull it off the slide. Bottom line is we want to make sure that we are filling our Sapper Leader Course with engineer non-commissioned officers. If we're going to continue to have a Sapper Leader Course, we're going to have to fill all of our slots. So I'm going to urge you all that are capable to go and seek out Sapper Leader Course. It's the only one in the training that is not in alphabetical order. Everything else is. Whether it's Yoka, Jump Master School, Master Gunner, all are great. All make you most qualified. Sapper Leader Course is in front for a reason. And then broadening assignments per MOS. I don't want to get into individual specifics. However, you're going to see assignments based off of your MOS. Whether you're a 12 Bravo, you have some positions that aren't available to 12 hotels. If you're a 12 Diver or a 12 Delta and a 12 November, you have certain ones that are not afforded the opportunity to go flight or 12 Bravos and 12 Charlies. But I will highlight a few like the tactical NCO at USMA. And then like reconnaissance sergeant, that's a 12 Bravo, 12 Charlie skill. And then I'll keep going down. I'm not going to focus on 12 Charlies because it looks very similar to 12 Bravos, but I will for 12 Deltas. So for your staff sergeant, you're going to see different positions: diving supervisor, recovery NCO. These are all the duty positions that are considered KD, that are in 611-21, that the engineer regiment sees as your key development time. Sergeant first class, you'll see senior diving supervisor. If you float down to broadening assignments, you're going to see this TWI, only available to 12 Novembers and 12 Deltas, one a year, that get to go out there to serve with industry. Master Sergeant, you see the Master Diver School, the training developer. Again, they're MOS. These slides are all MOS specific. Here you're going to see General Construction Supervisor, Section Leader. Those are two of them that are available, like the FEST teams. They are considered KD time. Let me go through. So the 12 mics. I don't know if I have any 12 mics on, but when I first came here, this list was expansive for training. And I brought in the 12 mic who's here on the staff at the engineer school, and I said, okay, so I'm looking at all these courses. What makes you certified to do your job, and what makes you most qualified to do your job? Because if it only makes you certified, it doesn't belong here as most qualified criteria. Bottom line is, if it's something that's required for a certification for you to do your job, it is not going to be considered most qualified for the board. Only those things that are going to make you better or broaden you beyond what you need to just do your job. Continuing on, just some of the highlights, the 12 Papas. Again, just demonstrating your key developmental time is different. It's worded different. Your duty title is different than squad leader, platoon sergeant, and we acknowledge it. And so we're telling the board members, hey, this is what the duty title is for someone who's in KD, key developmental time, for your specific MOS. And then I will go to the X-rays. Again, X-rays, Zulus, Yankees. If you are an E8, we want you serving as a first sergeant. We want you doing that before you do any broadening assignments or anything of that nature, right? What we want you doing is being a first sergeant overall first. And once you've done that and you've done that well, you can move on to broadening assignments. And so if you have any specific questions related to your MOS, or there's questions in the chat that someone would like to highlight, I'm happy to answer any further questions in regard to the evaluation criteria.
Hey, Sergeant Major, this is Captain Devin Dye. I have a question for you about the 12 Delta slides specifically. Thanks, Sergeant Major. I'm one of the incoming dive company commanders, and we're actually going through a Sapper train up right now for a lot of our 12 Deltas, and we haven't necessarily started the MOS waiver, but I heard you touched on it briefly. Could you maybe explain in a little bit more detail on how that waiver works, sending it through the schoolhouse and then up to 1st Engineer Brigade Commander? Over.
Yeah, so I'm tracking your waiver goes, and I'm not an expert on this. It goes to Sapper School, and then it goes up to 1st Engineer Brigade, and they are the authority on granting that waiver currently. It used to be the commandant, but he delegated that to 1st Engineer Brigade to make that decision.
Cool. Thank you, Sergeant Major. Appreciate it.
Hey,
Yes.
Sergeant Major Travis from 27th again. So Captain Dye is one of my detachments I just picked up. I don't want to hijack the whole meeting with Serge. Just 27th will support you, and we'll get all those waivers processed through the schoolhouse.
Awesome. Thanks, Sergeant Major Travis. Good to see you.
Hey, Sergeant Major Dirck, Sergeant Major Miliari here at the 5th SFAB. Hey, you had a question on the the zooms and X-rays, particularly the first sergeant position. And you probably already know what I'm gonna ask, but like first sergeant and SFAB, I consider them kind of like similar as if you're a first sergeant and BCT type, almost the same span of control or something. But is that a consideration that if you serve as a first sergeant and SFAB, will that be considered KD? Because due to manual requirements, I think we're dropping the second time first sergeant requirement on all our first sergeant billets. Over.
So I'm tracking a first sergeant is a first sergeant is a first sergeant, and that's what I've been told my entire career. So if you're serving in a first sergeant billet, no matter what it is, you're a first sergeant, regardless of whether that's in an SFAB or an HHC. And if that's different from that, then somebody will let me know, and I'll make sure I identify it otherwise. But as far as I'm tracking, first sergeant is a first sergeant is a first sergeant. However, SFAB, squad leaders, platoon sergeant, I don't know what your duty titles are specifically, but SFAB is not considered KD. However, I caveat that with first sergeant is a first sergeant is a first sergeant.
Hey, Sergeant Dirck, hey, tracking only the first sergeant is what I'm looking at, like the team sergeants and the teams. I consider that as broadening. Over.
Yeah, and I can promise you the Engineer Regiment considers it broadening.
Any other questions? So, Sergeant Major Dirck, one of the questions was this idea of stabilization becomes really important. And you made mention that, you've got to now, I don't think the soldier has to stabilize themselves. I think leaders have got to understand the system and be forecasting how they stabilize soldiers, help them stabilize, as opposed to putting the onus on the soldier themselves. So, what are some of the tools that you may have seen where units are tracking stabilization requirements for the purpose of professional development? Have you seen any of those tools done in units, or if any of the sergeant majors have those?
Yeah, so my assumption is they've been as many HRC briefings as I have, which will highlight to those sergeant majors and to those soldiers. And ultimately, sir, I do agree with you. However, with IPSA, it's the soldier is the one who's got to initiate that action. But it's the leader's job to mentor that young non-commissioned officer to ensure that they understand, now that they've been promoted to staff sergeant or sergeant first class, and as a battalion sergeant major, I was tracking every single one of them. That hey, you need to fence yourself to ensure that you allow yourself to get that key developmental time before you enter an enlisted manning cycle, sir.
Yeah. Any of the sergeant majors got command sergeant majors got perspective on this? Any tools you're using?
Hey team, hey sir, it's Sergeant Major Bro. South Atlantic Division. One of the things that I did after figuring it out admittedly late in my 10 years of the HCSM was one of the algorithm things that I checked once or twice a month was pulling a stabilization roster just out of as part of the S1 and physically reviewed that. And I could tell you who it stabilized and why. And then you could take action to correct stuff. Stabilized folks who needed to be stabilized, to include master gunners, folks who just got promoted, things like that, so that you could manage your force and control when folks were coming and going out of that mini cycle. So,
yeah, command sergeant. I think that's my point. Is I'm dated, but I don't think that we ever really, in my time, took seriously correlating how long somebody has in their KD job among our non-commissioned officers, and then looking at assignment windows. And so it just seems to me we can be, as leaders, more proactive in making sure that the soldier has fenced, if in fact we need to fence them. So my hat's off to you that there's a system out there.
And another thing to consider as you're putting that in, and when you monitor those things, is that the time to stabilize somebody for a YMAP move date is about 9 months before that YMAP comes up. So it's if you're just coming into a seat, it's something that you've got to look kind of far out.
Yeah, and that's what's going to be my caveat, right? So once they enter the enlisted manning cycle, right, and they're in the window, like the door is already shut. So if you're not ahead of that stabilization action, and they get that notification that they're getting ready to enter that enlisted manning cycle, and that board opens, they're already targeted to move, and it's too late.
Yeah.
I think, or if I could, go ahead, sir.
No, Regimental, go ahead.
I'd ask Sergeant Major Malik, because we were talking about this morning. If you're still on, what your S1 is doing, I think it's an M code, and as they get there, they're stabilizing longer. Sergeant Major Malik, you're still on.
Hey, Sergeant Major, it's a W code, a whiskey code. So what we worked and what the regimental sergeant major has been working with HRC is a 5-year commitment from our 10 levels. Once they come out of AIT and get to their first duty station, we want them there for the 5-year period, because we have no 20 level population when it comes to the 12 Bravos. We're losing them as soon as they become promotable, or just pin on E5, they're on orders and they're moving out. But sergeant majors, we are stabilizing KD time for squad leaders, to include platoon sergeants, to include first sergeants, and then we got our crews going through gunnery. As soon as they complete gunnery, we are stabilizing them also. Our Mike Golfs, any Mike Golf that has an ATARS reservation can be stabilized at that point. So if you have a Mike Golf in your or a future Mike Golf in your formation that is going and has an ATARS reservation, you can stabilize them. And if you want, just shoot me an email, Sergeant Major Malik, Rugged 7, and I will forward you, if you don't already have the form, to stabilize those future Mike Golfs in your formation. Over.
Yeah, thanks, Rugged 7.
This Sergeant Major Travis, one more time, just regarding the Mike Golf conversation. I know a point of debate sometimes, but I'm a light formation. Does this include small arms master gunners, or just Bradley Mike Golfs? Over?
I will have to, this is Rugged 7 again. I will have to check with the 3-Corps Mike Golf on that one, but I'm assuming that it would, transfer that way also. Over.
Yeah, I'd have to look at the ASI. Is the ASI different for small arms as opposed to Bradley?
I will follow up with that tomorrow.
Yeah, again, I'm unprepared to answer that question. I'll have to look at that.
Sergeant Major Dirck, I will follow up and get you that answer tomorrow.
Yeah, Rod, and I can have the team look it up too here. But yeah, if the ASI isn't different, then the qualification for MQ HQ wouldn't be any different either. I do want to address Brian Black's questions.
That's what I was going
in the chat. Does serving in the AEA chapter help your promotion chances, sir? I'm not sure about that one, but I don't know if you're going to get promoted. But I can promise you that getting published in the Army Engineer magazine as a peer-reviewed article would help set you apart from your peers.
Yeah, so Sergeant Major Dirck, I wanted to highlight that. The chief, both General Spellman and now General Graham, put a big emphasis on we need this professional debate. And I do think when a non-commissioned officer writes an article, that does set them apart because you are contributing to the profession in a different way. And so just, I would, for the command sergeant majors out there, it's a drumbeat that we need to kind of beat. It's going to help them with promotion, but it also will enrich in the articles. But I am, Sergeant Major Dirck, I'm curious. I do think that participation, active participation in professional associations ought to be something, and it alludes to it. You know, there is, so when we think about going to the next set of board guidance, maybe that is all the associations, so not just the engineer association, but all the associations could benefit from that, where active participation or active leadership inside a professional association, and it doesn't need to call them out, I think does in fact set NCOs apart. Just something to think about. And again, very self-serving, which Brian Black always is.
Yeah, I just took the notes, sir, just to make sure that you know, I debated with Sergeant Major Palmer, and then bring it in January.
Yeah, I think it merits consideration.
I agree.
Okay, any other questions before I kind of close this out? I'll turn it over to Regimental. Any closing comments, sir? Yeah, Sergeant Major Hastings.
Yes. So Sergeant Major Dirck, this is Master Sergeant Smith. I'm out here with 11th Engineers. So my question was in reference to the PT, where it's how does the NCO develop the team, squad, platoon level? Is that deliberate to get the board to look in the presence area on the NCBRs?
Yeah, it's not just for the board member. It's for the soldier too, the non-commissioned officer. It's so that they can see that data somewhere or captured on that NCOER, how they did, and then how their service members did.
Okay, yes, Sergeant Major, understood.
Okay, Regimental Command Sergeant Major, sir, over to you.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Hey, Sergeant Major Dirck, hey, thank you for putting this on. I know you and your team have done a lot of effort on 600-25. For all the NCOs and officers out there, you know, please help, you know, Sergeant Major Dirck, I know if you ask him to do an LPD or an NCO PD for your battalion, he would love to do one on teams. It's really getting this information out there. So all soldiers, all NCOs, all officers, everyone in our regiment knows what they need to do, to be promoted. It's not a secret. We put it all out there. We just need to help show everybody where it's at and get everybody to read it. I'll turn it over to the Commandant if he has any closing remarks, sir.
Yeah, I just want to thank you again, General Watson and Sergeant Major Dirck, Sergeant Major Palmer. You're truly the focus behind these changes is to make the best NCO leadership and leader development program we can have. And so as Sergeant Major Palmer and Sergeant Major Dirck, we receive feedback from other command sergeant majors across the Army to provide this guidance. The true focus is on taking care of our soldiers, making sure the best sappers and mappers and builders and divers in the Army so we can fight and win. So thank you, Sergeant Major Palmer, and for your dedication and then also taking the opportunity to share this across and the good questions tonight. So thanks for the team and everyone that dialed in tonight as well. So thank you, guys. Appreciate that. General Watson, over to you to close us out.
Yeah, so my comment, thanks. You know, I think when you lay this out, I can't even imagine doing counseling of a non-commissioned officer about and talking to them about career development and not having one of these slides right in front of you. Because I think that they're not going to pull it down, but I think you as leaders, that's what we have to do, is make sure that we're pulling these slides down. And when we bring in Staff Sergeant 12 Charlie, that we're using this is what is important in your career development because this is what's going to get you promoted, and I want to get you promoted. So I think that's where we can really make rubber meet road. Sergeant Major Dirck, thank you, sir. Very, very well laid out, very succinct. It's very obvious to me why you're up there at EPTO, which is an incredibly important office, and I know that better than most. So thanks for everybody for dialing in tonight, and I hope we can see you guys at the next Engineer Rally Point. And remember, lead to serve.